Hello, my traumatized babies and mentally ill Barbies. If I'm looking a little bit blah, sounding a little bit blah too, like really sniffly and snuffly, it's because I've been sick for the past few days. Nothing serious. It's like a medium sinus infection or a head cold. So I might not sound the best, but a particular reading, because I have no energy either. Oof, I can so tell. It's so awful when you're sick and you try to do something as simple as a reading and it just lets me know, because I was like, I'm in that kind of, I'm not 100%, but I'm recovering. And I was like, should I have pushed myself to work out today? And just sitting down and doing this, it's like, no, absolutely not. You are still not well enough to engage with that sort of activity. But we are well enough to get a readout. This read, because the deck that I was specifically called to is this Angel deck. And this deck typically only comes out when we're doing a karma style read. And that is going to be going on for this particular collective through 2026. And that energy, like, it's just been on my mind recently. We're going through another like mini peak, okay? So this is likely going on, because I was in retrospect, I was like, well, why is this reading coming out now? And then I was thinking about all of like the world stuff that has been happening, specifically the Donald Trump indictments, Lizzo, Ariana Grande, and Doja Cat, okay? And I know that seems like very like, what? But it's all tied to this stuff. It's sort of like you've got to look at what was going on, who was coming into influence and power within the rise of Donald Trump, like right around that 2016 year. So those particular people are sort of very visible to us, right? And the Ariana Grande one in particular is relevant because there is a theme of relationships and marriages like built on deceit or something like that being like laid to waste. Like that is going to be done, and any sort of relationship that you attempt to get into that just like is not going to do anything for you at all, it's going to be very hard for you to get into a relationship like that, or it will be destroyed very, very quickly. It's almost like it can't happen for certain people within the collective. And so that's an example of that. The Doja Cat thing is an example of someone freeing themselves from a system. It's like things that certain people manifested that they thought were going to be really great. Once they see the reality of that situation, they see like, oh, it's not what I thought it was going to be, so I personally need to destroy it. I need to destroy this image. I need to destroy this career, and they're taking a lot of agency over that. So that's a little bit more proactive, but that is also in general has been a painful process for whoever is kind of represented by that Doja Cat figure, because these things, while they are emblems of certain situations, these same situations will be going on, like that's the macrocosm. At the microcosm, these dynamics will also be playing out, not necessarily on that scale, but you will notice similar patterns going on in the people's lives around you or in your own life. So Lizzo and Trump are about corruption within certain industries. So within your own career or your own local governments and things like that, like you might be noticing some big changes, maybe things being exposed, and all of that, but there's also a gendered dynamic to that, because the Lizzo thing, while it's very unfortunate, I also somewhat appreciate, because there is a double standard within women sort of behaving very sexually aggressively to other people, and they typically don't face the same consequences as men do, and that's not right. And so this sort of lawsuit, I think, will do some work to get us into a more egalitarian position with that. So that's kind of the overview. I don't know what this reading will be. I have an idea of the structure, but we're taking the angels out first and we are going to clarify them. I will see what's coming out and then we'll just build, because I'm just like, I don't know. I just know that that particular energy is kind of strong right now. Oh, also Roger Clay, right? Like a lot of stuff, like people who were really beloved, especially online, like it's coming out, like being exposed, all of that. Bear with me with these angel cards. Their formats are a little bit different, so I don't know, I might have to do a lot of editing with this one because I'm not sure that I'll be able to read as quickly with these angel cards as I do with like a regular deck. So who do we have at the bottom? Ah, Truth. The Ace of Swords, Umabel, God above all names, elevated. So I'm not gonna read this little bottom message unless I'm called to, because this is also what this angel sort of stands for, but it's relevant in a way. But this is way more about truth and justice. So you'll see the truth slaying this person. I don't know if you can see that, like the angel's holding a sword and there's someone who has been wounded behind them. So despite all things, truth will prevail eventually. And that's like God above all names elevated. I know that if you have any sort of religious trauma, especially like Christian or, you know, the one God religious trauma, it's kind of hard to like look at God or the idea of God as divorced from that. We're talking about God less as like an anthropomorphized, humanocentrized entity, and God as truth. God as energy. When we say the energy doesn't lie. People can lie, but the truth still remains. And that truth tends to will out. What is done in the dark tends to come to light. Now, that does not mean that there is this absolute harmonious justice restored, especially when we start talking about very, very wealthy people. Sometimes it does happen, but that sort of justice is going to look very different depending on who we are talking about. Because really, there is no justice for certain things. Like, let's say someone you love very much gets murdered by another person. Well, even if that person is caught and incarcerated and has an actual fair trial, okay, and their sentencing is fair, did that bring your dead loved one back? Is that justice? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that there's anything anyone can do to bring about true justice in that sense. And not even that, like the reason why an eye for an eye and a life for a life doesn't make sense is because all that does is create more pain. It doesn't bring back anyone who has died. It just creates more suffering, which is why you'll hear these stories, like the justice that sometimes tends to happen is that, let's say it was a mother's son that was killed. That mother will then sort of like work through her anger at the person who killed her son. And if it was like someone of comparable age, there are stories about people like coming to like adopt the killer of their children. Like they take the, like it's, I know that sounds like very, very fucked up, but I get it in a way. And if you don't understand that sort of thing, how that could be justice, it's because justice looks weird. It looks very weird unless you are actually in the situation and understanding it. It's not going to look how you think it's going to look. So we have the Page of Wands down here, and I'm getting like, this might be a reading for people who are on the less harsh side of this particular winnowing of the wheat from the chaff. We might be speaking to the wheat. In this instance, at the bottom of the deck, we have the Page of Wands and the Six of Swords moving away into fresh energy and leaving behind confusion, drama, and just being able to look at what this was, at this sort of desolation in your own life, truthfully, honestly, with accountability. It's likely you are the one surveying here. Like, I would say that you are likely the one who is aligned with the greater flow of energy. So you would be someone, in this case, who understands the Tao, understands the flow of the Tao, how to work in and with that for yourself and for the greater good. If you are in that more Christian energy, this is kind of where we get into like chosen by God, God's favored. That is not something that just happens to someone, and it's available to absolutely everyone who like wants to work in those particular type of archetypes and parameters. It's not just that like, oh, God, you know, favorite, I was just born this way, I'm just special. No, it takes a certain type of understanding, effort, accountability, self-reflection, being humble, doing what's good for the community, all that kind of stuff. It's not something that God just goes, you know what, I like this person, I'm giving him $1 million and a loving partner. Like, that's not it. So let's see who is governing us today. Oh, we have Visaria, the star, God the just. So the star, clemency and equilibrium, protects against attacks in the court. And I would say, let me look at these two tarot cards first. Yeah, like whatever you are doing right now, because it's likely you are someone, and this isn't something that you have to be doing right now, though it could be you're in the tail end of this process or still going through some stuff. Whatever you are doing to leave behind certain situations, you are being protected, okay? Like, this is likely stuff for people who know how to keep their side of the street clean. And so you will be seeing within your own life justice. If things have been exceptionally hard for you, it is likely things will be going easier for you in the future, but not because they just are. You would have been someone who looked at the situations that you were in and gone, this isn't okay. How did I get into this situation? I need to figure that out for myself, which that's the personal accountability and everything. You would have sorted through that and then made your moves. So this justice isn't just being doled out for you just because it's time. There is some of that because with energy imbalances, the forces tend to put pressure on people, and you can either sense the pressure and understand it and move accordingly, or you can just sit there. And that is exceptionally dangerous because as the pressure builds, it will eventually burst. And when that bursting happens, or when something needs to happen very drastically and dramatically, if you're in the way of that, that can cause some very, very serious harm. And people will talk about that as like the vengeance of God or divine retribution, but it has nothing to do with being like personally bad or wrong or whatever. It has to do with, that's just the way that energy works. It is the way water flows. Like, you know, when people are, like when a dam breaks or whatever. Okay, so let me get into this stuff at the bottom. We've got the King of Cups, Rochelle, God seeing everything. So oh my God, I got chills. So this was clarified by the moon. You might not have seen it. Other people might not have seen it. Oh, but in fact, God sees everything. And it is accounted for. So the King of Cups, looking into that cup, looking into that scrying cup and seeing exactly what is being done in the dark. And at the bottom, it says restitution, finds stolen objects and discovers the person responsible. So I would not be shocked. Like, I'm going to get into this like a little bit deeper depending on what these next two cards are. I would not be shocked if through 2026, besides certain, like it might not be the actual thing, right? Like let's say you lost, I don't know, a property or something like that, or a car, some sort of material thing. It might not be that exact material thing that is being restored to you, but you will be getting recompense in the sense that maybe you get to be in a new job that pays you way more in your former one, and therefore you're able to afford an even better thing than you had in the past. Or perhaps, you know, a certain amount of money is restored to you. It's stuff like that. It might not look exactly right, exactly like that thing coming back to you. Or let's say you lost a bunch of like relationships and stuff, which you feel like through unjust reasons. It is possible that some of those former people could actually, you know, transform, change themselves, be doing the work and come in and apologize and maybe restore themselves to their former places. It is way more likely that you will just be making new friends. If you lost family, you will have found family. If you lost partners or relationships fell apart, you will be meeting new partners, most likely, or something that at least takes up that spot in your heart. Because for some of us, it may be that during this process, you figured out that you actually don't want a romantic partnership like that. Perhaps you figured out you don't want to be married, but the space that marriage or a romantic relationship used to occupy is now being held by something else, like a hobby or a cause, or perhaps even the care of your own self. That is possible. Oh my God. We've got the world. We have Damballa, God, the source of wisdom. Fountain of wisdom gives success in all ventures. How the turn tables. So this is this reckoning, and I'm like, I don't mean, ooh. So the Hierophant to me does show up as God, the structured force of this energy. And this is just like fortune smiles, right? God smiles, like Allah restores, whatever it is. It's just that like, whatever you've done, like a Christian would say it has been found pleasing in the eyes of the Lord. But this is more just like you understood the assignment, okay? And you brought yourself out of whatever situation it was before. And likely also practiced some forgiveness where it was due, but like my own ideas of like compassion, forgiveness, and what that entails is changing like a little bit, because I used to be the sort of person that was just like, there's no real reason to ever send malefic energy to anyone, but I'm kind of like, it's not that I think we should be liberal about that, but it's sort of like, I've been the person that's just like, if I'm like sending energy to someone, it is going to tend to be like I'm going to wish happiness and peace for that person, like even if they've done something very, very horrible to me, because in my mind, it's sort of like if that person was at peace and they were happy, they would not be behaving in that way. However, how certain things have developed and guidance that I've gotten from my own team and everything else, there are certain instances where you will be guided not to do that. In fact, you may be guided to do quite the opposite, but I would say, you know, be certain, because you don't want to be acting out of like a personal vendetta for stuff like that. Like you've really got to think bigger picture with some of this stuff. But in fact, sometimes vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, okay? And we have the Emperor, Michael, like unto God. Like I said, so political authority gives safe travel and protects against conspiracy. Like whatever you're doing right now, like, so here we have this Queen of Pentacles. Like this to me, since we're like this, like it's the angel cards and everything else, but this is very biblical. Like it's giving Esther. If you've never read the Book of Esther, you might want to, especially if you're someone who doesn't mind the idea of manifesting through God, as specifically God as like this, and I don't want to say it's not patriarchy. It's more like a benevolent, giving male figure, like sort of the ultimate that is only for people who feel comfortable going there, and that is certainly not the only way to manifest, of course not. But that Book of Esther is a guidebook for how to manifest that way. And to put it like a little bit cheekier, if you would like to understand how to make God your sugar daddy, get into the Book of Esther, okay? But so in the Book of Esther, Esther is a Jewish woman who has been married into the king's sort of, you know, back then it's like harems and stuff like that, right? But out of all of these women and wives that this king has, Esther finds favor, okay? And she's just like all around a good person. But just because she has her husband or her king's favor, she does not ever use that like kind of for her own causes or anything like that. It is only when a time of great need comes, when great injustice has been transpiring, that Esther is petitioned by I believe it's a family member. And this family member says to her, like, essentially, do you really think you've been put in this position for no reason? Like, it's not just to make you comfortable. It's not just for you to find favor. Now is the hour of need. You have been placed here to serve your people. And so she goes before the king to request the deliverance of the Jews from this persecution that they have been experiencing at the hands of a corrupt official. And justice is restored. And Esther is able to do that because she has the favor of her Lord. And that whole thing is a metaphor for that sort of manifestation under God, okay? It's like the complete opposite of do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. It's like the complete opposite of that, like to reverse, like you would never say do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, like ever in that situation. But especially that reverse, you would never say love under will, it would be will under love. And so that's why that is very like antithetical to at least a large faction of certain occult practices and the way that certain people prefer to perform their magic and manifestation. And I just want to say about that neither is wrong. It is just that you are going to have a preference, and both tend to have drawbacks to them. But essentially, hey, like you found the favor of God. Awesome. Good things are likely going to happen. Given Bible lessons. All right, what's going on with this moon and the King of Cups? God's seeing everything. I wonder what they saw. Because also remember when I said that if you want God to be your sugar daddy, like that male, like this very like traditional figure, right? Energy has no gender. God, if you want to believe in God, has no gender. Like that's not, that is just how people at the time projected themselves onto that, and it's how they talked about it at the time, because the people who were in power were, of course, men, and also it was just like how those men at that particular time understood things. That doesn't mean it's correct in perpetuity. Oh, the Knight of Swords, and something about this 10 of Pentacles, and messengers here, messengers, like I'm hearing just rewards. I'm hearing it's overdue. I'm hearing like something was overlooked. Something within this community, something within a family, something within a system, perhaps finances, I'm not sure. The King of Cups again. So we have the king looking into his cup, okay? Hello, King of Cups. Ah, and the King of Pentacles. And the Three of Swords. There is the injustice. But it was seen. Oh, okay. So we have this King of Cups, and this could be what we would, well, monitoring spirits. I also tend to think about that as also recording angels, if that's how you want to talk about it. You don't have to. Monitoring spirits. God sees everything. There are unseen forces watching. This could be an actual person though. I'm not sure. And they're watching this King of Pentacles, maybe someone a bit greedy. Maybe someone who did something or is doing something they shouldn't. That is causing blockages. I'm gonna pull again. I heard the mighty are laid low. We're very archaic today. We're turned into some BC frequencies. Ah, yes, the King of Cups monitoring. This is likely a monitoring spirit. Like a recording angel, someone who is watching. But I will say, if this is an actual person, this could be a security guard. It could be someone who has access, because you know, like in companies, how certain people in the IT department have access to like a lot of different computers and they can look at the stuff that you're doing if you're on a work computer. Could be something like that. But to me, especially since this is like in the clouds, right? It's like, I'm getting a little bit more magical on this King of Cups, especially since they're embodying an angel in that angel card. So what's the deal with this King of Pentacles? Okay, we have two. This is someone, okay, let me show you the cards. So we've got Seven of Wands, Three of Wands, Three of Wands, Seven of Wands. And I'm getting two things from this at the moment. I'm getting, this King of Pentacles is someone who kind of like, maybe sat by idly while someone else was handling all of this stuff. It is actually this person's responsibility or doing, because you see this person's like really, really stressed, while this person is very calm. And they're giving themselves like the least of the work while this person has the most. It's very hard to handle while it's really this person's responsibility. That could be something. And that can go on a lot of different ways. So we have now what would be referred to as the married single mother. So in a marriage, if it's a heterosexual marriage, this could look like, you know, the husband just throwing everything on the wife, just really not doing any work within the home and just sitting there and expecting to be cared for like a child. This could also easily be someone in management, and that doesn't have to be gendered at all, because these things aren't gendered when it comes especially to corporate. Like just someone who's just not managed, and it's not because that they don't understand how to manage things or how to govern, it's because they're specifically making themselves easier and wealthier while someone else is doing the brunt of the work. Now, this also can be this person now having to defend themselves when this sort of thing is brought to light. Like, hey, you've been, like, what's going on here? Like, why is this going on? Why is this person doing everything that you should be? And this person's gonna be like, blah, 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 like that kind of a thing. So we'll put this like this. All right, so what is this Three of Swords? I think that in reading this King of Pentacles, we've already discussed what the dynamics sort of are, unless something comes out later in the read. So this is the injury that they've been causing, and we have now this injured party being uncovered. And so now we have the restoration, right? What is owed to you coming due, being paid out. And so you would be the person who is being elevated from this Seven of Wands into this Nine of Pentacles due to this material restoration, however that's going to look for you. So this is representing the aggrieved party and how that will be playing out. All right, I got a yes on that. So I was just like, is that, you know, is that what's going on? Yes. All right, so that's what's going on. In general, that's what's going on. So now let's look at this, the World and the Hierophant. Really though, I'm just getting like, it's at an end. Like this is just, all of this is at an end. We're about to go into something likely radically different. And I mean, that's going to be a gradual thing. Like things could look radically different for you on your own level, but when it comes to like world stuff, you know, those shifts tend to take a lot of time, but we're currently seeing all of this old stuff kind of close out and crumble. And depending how that plays out over the next, like I said, through the end of 2026, especially on that world stage stuff, and especially this next election, how that all plays out, that will set the tone. Because it's not because I'm saying this that like things aren't still mutable, especially on that national level. Depending on what we do, that will be affected, and it will tend to play out. Like if certain parties prevail politically, things aren't quite going to be as bad as they have been, but it's going to be a lot slower. It's going to be a lot slower to break through that old energy. Like I said, we can have like, depending on what goes on with this next political cycle, we can have a clean break into the new, depending on what we do, or it's going to be like this bedraggled, like dead carcass drag of this old crappy energy until it finally just like dies out like with a fart and a whimper. I'd much rather the other way, but I am not totally in control of that. It depends on all of us. Yeah, God's been thinking, God's been, woo, okay, I'll say it, God. So we also have the Hermit, in this case to me, coming up as God who sees all, right? I look down and I see all. I've been thinking about things. I've been seeing how things are going, and I see imbalances. Like I just see restoration. Like I see that this thing should actually be here. This needs to go over there. We need to do this quickly. Okay? So like you're gonna notice what we're talking about as karma is going to be increasing in momentum. Okay, it's going to be very, very obvious in your own life and on like the worldwide stage, all right? It's gonna be faster, it's gonna be more extreme. The King of Wands, we got a lot of kings out here today, all right? We've got a lot of dicks waving. The patriarchy. We have the Knight of Cups. We have the Page of Swords. We have the Ten of Wands. I'm going to read this as is, and I am going to go around again to see if I get anything else on it. Oh, they're saying no, pull, like I have to pull the layer now to get what this actually is instead of like developing it. All right, so the King of Wands, please. Okay, yeah. The Knight of Cups, please. Yeah. The Page of Swords, please. Yeah. And the Ten of Wands, please. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I might have to pull again on some of this, but not now. But I was correct about what this is. Now, this, like the first thing that I read you, that first column that I expanded on seems way more about, like, if you're in politics, the realms of business, the realms of your personal finance. That feels like that over there. This here feels like personal relationships. So this could be family, friends, or romantic partners. So we have the King of Wands clarified by the Queen of Cups. Now, this would have been someone that you had some kind of relationship with. Doesn't matter what kind, okay? But there was intimacy involved, no matter what. And water and fire make steam. That evaporates very quickly, okay? And what I am getting here, I want one more on this King of Wands, please. Yeah, but like, what was there? Okay, well, we don't need to get sarcastic, okay? Because I just asked that question and I got, obviously, if they're doing this, then, and I was just like, okay. All right, they're not gonna give me specifics likely because I'm just talking to like too many people for me to be able to get into specifics. Whoever this person was, they likely, like, this is not somebody who you're in communication with right now, family, friend, former romantic partner, whoever it is, y'all aren't talking to each other, okay? And it is likely that this King of Wands, because like, it's just not, like this person would have done something. It was their temper, it was their controlling nature, it was their arrogance, like a combination of all three, okay? And this Queen of Cups is a much softer and understanding energy. So I just get that if this flamed out, or if there was some sort of like breaking apart, it is likely that while there are, yes, dynamics to why that happens, it's never usually just one person who is causing problems or whatever. It's the two people together creating that. It is likely that this King of Wands, like the imbalance is on their side. Something that they did or a way they behaved was just not it, okay? Their side of the street is not clean. And this, what I'm about to read, is in relation to this Knight of Cups and this Justice. So I'm gonna go ahead and read this all at once. This person wants to apologize for this, to restore balance, okay? They want to apologize because they have endured the judgment, okay, for however they behaved in this relationship, what they helped to create from the relationship, the poison in the cup. They have gone through the judgment. And so now here they come to make this apology. I don't see y'all responding favorably to this, okay? Because what we see from this Knight of Cups and Justice is the Page of Wands and the Knight of Swords. I just see y'all, if this is indeed you, if you are not this other person, you feel defensive, you feel angry, you are remembering, oh, I should have thought about this because it's Wands. All of the things that this person did or made you endure, you understand that now. When maybe you spent a long time giving this person the benefit of the doubt. So whenever I get something like this, what I'll do is I'll keep this Knight of Cups and Judgment here, and maybe we'll pull on that if I'm called to. But typically what I see when I see that particular message come through, because we see it fairly regularly, is that the only thing that is necessary, or the only thing that would be advised to you, is that you hear this person's apology. That's it. If it is a genuine thing, and it tends to show up as a genuine thing to me. There are some times when it doesn't, but usually when we are doing these karmic readings, whoever that person is, that person tends to show up as being genuine in their apology. That does not mean that in accepting the apology, you are accepting that person back into your life. That is not something that is necessarily going to be advised to you. The only thing that would be advised to you is to hear the apology. If you discern it as genuine, to then accept the apology if you are able, to enter into forgiveness if you are able, to release you both within finality or whatever. That's it. So let's look at the Emperor and the Queen of Pentacles. So I wonder if this will be like a different aspect of your life that we're looking at. Because so far we've had two. Ooh. We have the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Wands. Now all the queens are Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Swords, Queen of Wands. And the World. We got a lot of people here. These could be certain storylines closing for multiple different people. I'm going to pull again on these. What I'm going to say now, what I'm hedging towards, is the cards that are above this, the Queen of Pentacles and the Emperor. Like, these might be the people who are actually like starting something new with this world. And these other two energies, the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Wands, might be like either people that y'all have dealt with that are being closed out, like their stories are over, or this could even be like a version of yourself, like you are leaving behind this Queen of Swords and Queen of Wands energy that is coming to a close. You are now entering into Queen of Pentacles. So it could be that the Emperor and the Queen of Pentacles are two people that will be in relationship with each other, or it's that the Emperor and the Queen of Pentacles are actually the same person. So I will pull some more cards here, because that they're all queens here is making me think this is more like someone's personal evolution at the moment, but I'm gonna look. The Empress. I'm still hedging towards this is personal evolution. Because we have the Devil clarifying this Queen of Swords, and this could be like you being accountable. How have I played into this energy? What do I need to cut out? Like, what needs to end? Like, being honest with yourself about the roles that you played. And then we have, interestingly enough, this Queen of Wands with the Nine of Swords. So it could be that during this process, because the Queen of Swords is also like a little bit of loner. It could be like divorce energy or like long-term partnership ending energy. As you moved into this Queen of Wands energy, you would still have been dealing with like as you went through this process of like leaving behind whatever it was that was so like unhealthy for you, what wasn't working. You were looking very confident and graceful and beautiful while you did it, but it was actually very taxing for you to go through this process, despite you looking real good while you did it, right? And now this process is ending. You are now the Empress, becoming the Empress. We'll go one more time, and then I'll put everything back into the deck, like this deck, and maybe we'll pull some best advice for you. Oh gosh, this one's gone a long time. Sorry. Yeah, wait, what is this? Yeah, this is like, I'm not getting anything new from this. It's just that you've learned. You've learned as you were learning, you were kind of held in position for a while, and now it's done. It's done, it's complete, you're moving on. Like, I'm not even showing you the cards. I'm just saying that last one was the Six of Swords. Like, it was nothing new. Okay, so let's see if I can speed this up and get you some best advice. Oh, I said don't worry about it. All right. I was gonna look at that Knight of Cups and forgot what the other card was, but saying don't worry about it. If anything is relevant, it will likely come up in this advice or outcome, whatever. What a nice little karmic read. Usually the karmic reads, like, we get it from the other side where people are like, actually, oh, that was the other card, the Judgment. Well, we've already, if you really want to know, like, we've technically already done that read before. If you want to know what that, like, the person who's coming in to apologize, if you want to know more about what they personally have been going through in that judgment phase, you can scroll down the channel videos. It's going to be like a lot earlier, but there were a number of readings from the other person's side, like the people who did not keep their side of the street clean, how that played out in general for those parties. So we kind of don't need to revisit it. It's just going to be the same shit. Okay. Bloop. Bloop. Oh, baby. Like I said, like, things are just going to be coming in for you. Seriously. And, like, the advice is be at peace. Be still. You're going to get the recognition. You're going to get whatever relationships, friendships, titles, like, likely whatever it is within that realm, what you would like to be appreciated for, what you would like to be recognized for, the people who you would prefer to be in your life, they will be. Okay? Your finances, and this is also this sort of community, right? This is going to be showing up like in your material world. You are stepping through the threshold right now into this all around abundance. So be at peace, be still, like continue whatever energetic processing you need to do. And this is also like, this is very much like trust to me. I'm gonna pull maybe one or two more on that. It's trust, but it's also like, if you are in any sort of state of like feeling like you need to work a lot harder or something like that, no, this is like a time for you specifically to rest, to not work so hard. Trust that these things are developing without you needing to run behind them. And also when they come in, it is for you to like finally be at, like you've done, like this is very much like let God do this. Like just let it come in. Like you don't, like the magic is done. Whatever is done. You don't need to, it's done. Like I know that's kind of like a, but no, it's just a repeating of it's done. Whatever you were doing, in the past, like this overworked or whatever energy, it's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. So just let God do this. Let the universe do this. Let the magic that you set in motion years prior unfold, because that is what is going on now. Yeah. Be still. Stop. Whatever you're doing, stop. Why? Let the universe do it. Let the magic develop. Let the angels step in. Let God handle it. However you want to think about that. Be at peace. Be still. You don't know what is going on right now. They do. So let them do that work. Okay?